Episode one was good.
Yes, it
It's
was
good.
really good. It was really good.
Talked about my better half, and we ended off talking about sometimes you gotta drive. And I remember when I was dating my wife, I wouldn't want to drive far, but I kept on driving.
Yeah, yeah.
You just kept on driving.
I kept on driving. She lived an hour away, and I said I would never drive that far, but I kept on driving. So I knew she was the one.
All right, oh wow, I'm gonna use this one right here. All right, so see 1 second. Hold on, let me just go back. All right, I don't have my notes because it locked on me. Lewis, you're probably gonna have to go over the questions because it locked out on me.
You're fine. I got it right here.
All right, perfect.
This episode is called "Working Together." You know, we talked about our better half, why we got together, but this one is working together. So let's get right into it. We already introduced each other. If you don't know us by now, then you didn't watch episode one. So, you have to watch it.
All right.
So let's get right into it. Marriage life compared to single life. I'll go first.
Okay.
A big difference because when I was single, I'm not going to be honest. My mom ain't watching. So I'm going to be honest. I was sheltered until I got married. And I tell people all that time. I tell people that all the time. But whenever I tell that, I don't tell them to put her down. I tell them to tell them how far God has taken me. And I know another reason that I knew my wife was the one. Well, she gave me a chance when no one else would. You know, I dated other people. I was in other relationships. But my wife, even before we got married, people say, "Oh, he's not ready." She still gave me a chance. So when people try to get dumb, no matter how hard things is, I would never step out on my wife because of she basically gave me something I was looking for and gave me a chance when no one else did. And I made a promise to her. And it took until I got this job that I have now, but I promised her that she would never have to worry about bills. And I could say 6 years into the marriage that was able to happen. So
Wow.
she gave me a chance when others did. So,
Wow.
then what about you? Marriage life compared to single life? Different.
I can say from my point of view, single life, you can pretty much you're selfish. It's all about you.
I like that.
Yeah, it's all about you. You're not selfless. You're selfish because you're thinking about yourself. You're thinking about you go on many dates. You don't have somebody over you just telling you what to do. Um, I think when I was single, it felt good at one point, but then what happened is you become lonely.
You were ready to mingle.
I mean, you can date, but my thing has always been like I'm not a serial dater, so it's always I was always looking for the one, the one. Yeah, I was always looking for the one, but I dated, but I was not happy because I came home and it was empty house by yourself.
Oh, the lights
You
was
know,
off.
you paying your bills, you're enjoying it. It feels like it's so great to be single and live the single life. You can go to a club, you can do whatever you want, but it's fun in the beginning. You get the oh yeah, this is great, and then like 6 months into it, you're like, I don't have somebody to go home to complain to. I don't have somebody to listen to me. You know, sometimes I started crying internally because I was
She said
internally
internally.
internally because I was sad. I was sad. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was sad. Um, where the comparison is when I got married, um, and everyone knows my story. I mean, like this is not my first time rodeo. You know, I've been married before. When I got married, I realized that it's not about you no more, and I had to learn that we are one, and we have to be selfless. Now, the selfish part goes away. Now you have to be selfless, and I had to learn to stop thinking about myself and start thinking about the other person. So to me, that's yes, it's great when you're single, but you're bored, you become lonely and depressed at times. You may not say depressed, but you could just say you're just lonely and you just like who you gonna talk to? You sit home, you're like you talking to air. You can talk to God, yes, but you're not talking to a physical person. Going home and you're stressed, job is tiring you out. You're tired of people. You know, as you know, Courtney, we've been in this management world for a long time. Um, the associates can annoy you. You know, they can stress you out. You just and then you can't help yourself but
Just
to
speaking in general.
yeah, you can't help yourself but to go and talk to your spouse about it, even though you don't want to talk about it. You know, but you have to let it out. You have to like really express yourself. So when you're married, you can do that. When you're single, you can't do that unless you have a best friend you can call, but it's not the same because your spouse understand what you are going through emotionally. You know, not the physical, but it's a mental thing. You know, it's more so mental than physical because we can always work 12, 16 hours, 20 hours, and we'll be tired, but we can continue on and continue on. The mental aspect of it is the hardest part, is because that will break you down. That can like really psychologically destroy you. You know, people will think you're crazy, but you're not crazy. It's a psychological thing. You know, there's so much going on at work. So that's to me, that's the difference between single life and married life. Oh,
Well, single life and married life. Married, I can't really say too much about the single life because I felt that I always just wanted to be with someone just for me that I can do things with. You know what I mean? Like I would go on dates, but it was just like fun things. But I would always just want that one person for me. So I never really looked at the single life. You do it. That's what you do. You go out, you hang out, this, that, and the other. But when you want mentally to be with someone, your feelings are different. You know what I mean? It's different. I remember when I was working at the military and this guy had said to me, I wore pearls. He said he know that was the first thing he noticed about me. He noticed that I changed because I was wearing pearls. That's when I met you.
oh,
So
I didn't know that.
yeah, so so my dress changed. You know what I mean? So it does do something for you mentally, and it does something for you physically. You change something. You know what I mean? Because there's an addition now. You know what I mean? So
I know I'm not next, but I just wanted to say before I forget, because I got a bad memory forgetting, when you were talking about how you change with pearls, my wife doesn't know this, but when she gives me a compliment, she's always giving me a compliment. When she says something to encourage me, that stays with me forever, and that
Mm,
motivates me and encourages me.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
all that.
yeah.
I
You
just
need that.
It's all right. It's all right. Um, I guess y'all away from my response, huh?
Yes.
In terms of single life, I think for me, I love. I mean, I still do. I love to have fun, but the type of fun that I have now has really drastically changed. I was at all the parties, all the clubs, all the. I'm not gonna throw my road dog under the bus and put her name in it, but but yes, I lived a fun, exciting life, that I don't regret. I learned a lot from, but obviously being married, you know, I value my husband. I value our time together, and you know, I look forward to those things that we can do together. Not to say that you can't, you know, go out and have fun as a couple, but I enjoy being home now. I enjoy, you know,
Hmm.
just sitting on the couch.
Walmart.
Oh,
Yes, going to Walmart. Sometimes I be like, babe, just come to the store with me.
Wally
You
World.
know, I prefer Target, but
like really, Walmart, really? On okay, let's go. You keep talking.
it's just such a. I think it's just a change in my worldview and my outlook. Even how I present myself, I always recognize that you know I'm a reflection of my husband, and so uh, it's changed. You know, even how I carry myself, how I speak, how I dress. You know, I want to be attractive for him. So even before I locked my hair, it was a question of, babe, you know, what do you think? If I were to lock my hair, when I was single, it don't matter who thinks about what you.
Hmm.
I don't care. That's what I want to do with my hair. That's what I'm gonna do. But just there's a level of respect that I have for him and a love that I have for him that makes me, you know, consult him before I really do anything, and it's not like an oppressive thing. It's just I truly value him and his thoughts. So I think that's the main difference.
Get the tissue.
Oh, really, Lewis? Really, Lewis?
You got to understand that means a lot. Growing up, I she's not watching, so who cares? My mom
I
never,
am so
my,
sorry.
my mom never respected me. My mom never appreciated me. So
Oh,
to find someone that respects you and appreciates you for you are means the world. Because for 28 years, that never happened.
oh,
So, but what I would say, you were talking about the selfishness. Um, it's not about you anymore. And I think another thing you got to think about it when it's not about you, how have you budgeted better as a couple now compared to when it was just you?
wow.
Right.
It's
Yeah, it's yeah, because we planning for house. Um,
January.
yeah, we're planning to buy a house, and then we have all these other bills. So now, because I think the hard part is when I left my company to start my own business, that put a lot of pressure on my wife, and we have to learn to budget better, to manage the money better, and thank God that um, she understands where I'm coming from. She know this is not of selfish reasons. She knows that something that God just tells me you just gotta pursue it, and she's supported me 110%. And not having that is hard. I mean, not having that was hard, but having that is awesome. Just getting us, just to get the support and understand that there's a greater good behind it, and this allows me to, because I'm able to do that. This allows me to do this with Pastor Lewis now. Started this YouTube channel. Allow us to create videos that's very informative. Yes, it's not easy to budget, and because we have so much bills, and the money keeps on coming out. Every time I get a paycheck, money comes out. Paycheck, money comes out, and we try to save as best as we can. So we try to manage it where we're able to cover one bill, and she'll cover the. She covered more the high expense because of she's currently working, and my bills. I mean, slowly my company is starting to get more business now. But I think it's going to get to a point where we're going to be able to budget better and save better, to be honest with you. Because I know in my heart that God's gonna provide me the clients. God's gonna bring in the income necessary we need, and at the same time, God will allow us to continue this path of doing this show because I think a lot of people need to really listen to what we are saying. Um, I don't like to. I'm a quiet person, so doing this is not me.
Some
You know what I mean? Doing this is not me. Definitely not me. You know what I'm saying? Definitely not me. And yeah, it's been tough at time, but we're managing.
But I'm a budgeter. I don't
No, she's a
play. I'm
budgeter.
a budgeter.
She's
I
good.
see
You're the
numbers. I
C,
know.
you're the CFO for church.
Yeah, we don't need
Church
it.
on the Rock.
We don't have to
they
get
work
it.
together. They both
Yeah.
were CFOs.
Yeah.
I wasn't CFO.
Oh,
I was just. That's too much responsibility for me.
well, they both are managing money. Okay.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So I mean, it does take a lot. You know what I mean? It does take a lot to budget to know where you want to go. Hence why I look tired right now because I do work very long days. I get up very early.
Very early, my lord.
I can say one thing is a lot of marriages, finance usually the number one problem sometime in marriages, and it leads to divorce, leads to separation, leads to breakup, whatever it is. We've learned that we don't allow the finance to separate us, you know. And I think because of that, and we have an understanding that we're helping each other out, that could be a reason why we can deal with finances, deal with budgeting. So the way she saves, I don't save the way she does. So it's never like, oh my God, how come you didn't have the money for this bill? How come I always find ways to pay the bills without her thinking that she doesn't have to worry about the lights not being on. She doesn't have to worry about certain things not being paid because I make sure those things are paid. Where she managed to take care of the other stuff. So there's no conflict. And I know a lot of people want to put their money together as a married couple. Be my guest. It's something you want to do. That's great. I've been through that process in the past, and it caused a lot of conflict. And people will be like, "Oh, you're joint together." No, I just think that once you become married, that doesn't mean you can't be your own individual person. You actually have to have your own bank account. You need to be able to pay whatever if you want to go and buy a Gucci bag and you have that $3,000 in your bank account, it's not for me to say why are you buying a Gucci bag because we don't have the money to do it. Then that's where the conflict comes in the marriage. Just when there's those issues, there's fighting. So whatever she does with her money, as long as I know all the bills are being paid, I don't care. She wants to go and buy a Mercedes Benz tomorrow. As long as all the bills are paid and we are good and we don't have to worry about next month's bill and the following month's bill, it's you're your own individual. And I think a lot of marriages is that they all say you have to put your joint together, put joint together. I don't. To me, I don't think it's healthy. It's healthy that we can discuss. Hey, you know what? We cannot go above our means. Then that's a realistic. Like we can't go and buy a $400,000 house when the mortgage is like $3,000, but we don't even have $3,000 a month to pay for a mortgage. So we have to stay within our means or below our means. Then that's when there's okay. You have to discuss these things. But and plus, my wife she's very budget friendly, so she find the cheapest way to save money. Yeah, I'm bad at that.
I'm not.
I just buy. I don't
We
think.
used to shop at CVS.
Yeah. I don't think. I used to buy a lot of video games. I stopped playing video games. Yes, Pastor. I used to be a huge video game head. I used to be a GameStop. I used to be a store manager for GameStop. I used to get all the free systems. I used to get free games, everything, and I used to buy them too. But to me, I stopped doing it, so I didn't find that it was that important no more because I didn't have time to play. So yeah, I mean that's just the way I feel. You know what I mean?
I don't see the cues.
What are you guys talking about now?
um, he was asking if I talked about budgeting, and I was explaining that I didn't see the cues because the screen was gone. But I think one of the things for us goes right in with what you were talking about. We tried the joint account thing when we first got married because that was the advice that we were given from so many people. That did not work for us because if, say, there's $100 in that joint account, and that's the account that we agreed that we're using for, groceries and to make sure there's gas in the car and et cetera, et cetera. And he goes to the store and he gets things for the house, which we agreed that's what we're going to use. So he goes to the grocery store, and then on the way home, I go to get gas, and now I can't get any gas out of that from that joint account. That's a problem. And so it's much to me. It's actually easier to say, well, this is my money, this is your money, and this is how much I make, so this is what I can afford to contribute and feel comfortable, and this is what I feel like I can contribute and feel comfortable. And okay, so you take this bill is your responsibility, or that bill. I think it's honestly easier to know that the gas bill's gonna get paid because that's he took that responsibility. There's gonna be groceries in the fridge because I took that responsibility, and just to work on everyone being accountable to what they said they were going to do. Um, I think that is much simpler way to live. It's easier. Um, and even in terms of like he always talks about the day comes when I don't work. um, and we've talked about, okay, well, what does that budget look like, because that's the
Right.
next step, of course. Like if we're going to live off of one income, then that
Mm-hmm.
means whatever we say, if we say this is the budget for entertainment for the month, we have to stick to that. We say this
Yeah.
is the budget for
That's good.
field trips for the
That's
kids,
good.
you have to stick to that budget. I think that's, but budgeting honestly is a kingdom principle, right? The Bible teaches us how to sow, how to invest, how to increase that budget. Um, but it also teaches us not to, spend frivolously. It teaches us not to just go
Yes.
out and cast our pearls to the swine, if you would. It teaches us not to just save, but how to increase that savings. It teaches us principles on lending and borrowing. It teaches us principles on even starting our own businesses. And so I think when we talk about budgeting, we should kind of refer back to the scriptures and look at what that has to say. And so that's something that I think we've been really focused on applying when we talk about budgeting.
I think it's good, and I think that helps everyone. And
Mhm.
this is working. We're working together here. And I
Mhm.
think what better way, as this episode comes to a close, I think a good ending question is, since we're all working together, what do we do to keep the love going? What do we do so we don't lose that love? Because so many marriages end by the wayside because, oh, I fell out of love or something. So, Lenny, what do you do to keep the spark going?
Oh wow.
Right. So I just want to just go back a little bit on the last question. Okay. And you mentioned about the sewing. Um, what I've learned is whenever, like, for tithing, doing an offering, what I found out, and this is just me personally, is whenever I give out of my heart for not out of spite, but out of love to help the church grow when I do my sewing, I found that it comes back tenfold. And a lot of people think that giving 10% is it's almost like a scam. The church always taking my money away from me. And the reality is it does mention in the scripture, okay? And what I'm seeing is that from my experience, this is just me, I'm not saying for everybody else. Um, Whenever I do so and I give out of the goodness of my heart, whatever I can give at that time, whatever I get paid, I typically pay a little bit more than what my sewing is, more than 10%, because it's just, to me, I just feel like I have to give more because God tells me to give more. And I'm finding out every time I do that, I always get something, always good always happens in my life.
You cannot beat God.
And it's crazy how, like, we were just having a discussion because I stopped working and I'm starting this business, and I kind of put the song aside, and I spoke to our Archbishop, explained to him my situation, and I think the mistake was that I should have never did that. I should have still believed in God that He's going to still provide, regardless. So then we discussed it, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna. I even give more than what I actually had, and then but when I did that, it's almost like I just got a call. Hey, I need you to do a business for me. Hey, I have another client that needs, and it's like exploded.
Yes.
It just exploded, like literally exploded after I give my sewing. After I had that conversation with my wife, it is, it's God. God has a path, and as long as you continue believing in what He's doing for you and have faith in Him, it's beautiful. A lot of people don't understand that how He creates miracles out of thin air. And I'm telling you, I was so disappointed myself, saying I can't get this, I can't get this clients. And then when my wife spoke to me about it, that's when I was like, I have to go back to sewing like I was sewing. And then I just saw more, way more than what I actually got from unemployment, because I still didn't get a check from my customers yet. And then boom. And I told Pastor Lewis, I said, I'm booked next week.
God is so big.
I'm like, I'm booked.
That was good.
I am booked. Isn't that crazy? And
Yeah.
it was just like boom after another one after, and then this one customer just called me and said, "I have this job for you. He's gonna pay me so much money." I was like, "Where's this coming from?" It's because of the will of the God and having faith in Him, knowing that He's gonna always provide, regardless if you are down and you can't give up on Him. And I think Archbishop says it perfectly, and I'm gonna continue to say it. What's the word he said? Don't quit. What's the word?
It's unlawful to quit.
It's unlawful
I'm lawful.
to quit. We had that on one of
Mhm.
our shows. It's unlawful to quit. I'm telling you, it's unlawful to quit. Let Him just carry you. Just let Him just be your guide. And that's what I want to bring back with that. I'm sorry. Now we have to go back to the original question.
Really.
I don't know if we got time for that, but
No.
I will say we can always cover that. We got 3 more episodes, so that can
Okay. Yeah.
go back to that. So, but I felt like God was leading us that way, so you don't want to get in the way of God. So,
Yeah.
um, now that you mention that, I've been working at this one job for 4 years. Every month, I don't know how my paycheck's gonna look, but I always make sure to give what I'm supposed to give, my ties, do what I'm supposed to do. And guess what? I've always had enough money to do what I needed to do for the month. So that goes inside what you're saying. You're thinking, oh man, it's just Lenny. No, 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 no. It can happen to anyone. God,
Yeah.
and you know what? It goes back to a
Mhm.
scripture. God is not a respecter of man. So basically, what he'll do for one, he'll do for all. We just gotta trust him.
Mhm. This
I
is
think,
true.
still um, same track here. One of the examples, actually, and I don't think you were there, Lenny. But one of the things the Archbishop was teaching us is don't always just tithe. Yes, God asks us to tithe. That's our responsibility to Him and to kingdom. But Archbishop set the example of actually sowing what you want your tithes to be.
To
So,
be
in other words, if my tithes is $200, but I want my tithes to be 400, then I need to sow that 400. Believe in God, put in my trust in God. Okay, God, I'm sowing this seed, and what I'm attaching to it is the increase that
Right.
I'm expecting. I'm sowing this on faith now, because we know that our faith is what moves God. He says, delight yourself in Him, and He'll give you all the desires of your heart.
like yourself.
When we delight ourselves, that's actually saying that I find joy in God. I find joy in the Word of God. I find joy in the laws, the precepts, and the principles that God has set for my life. I find joy in that. So, in other words, the things that I find joy in are the same things that God finds joy in. Because we find joy in the same things, now my desires are actually going to line up with the desires that God has for me. And because I want what God wants me to have, He's going to give it to me. And so I think that's one of the things, and it still goes back to budgeting, because, even when we look at Cain and Abel, that was before the rule of tithing was set. But are we giving God our best, or are we giving Him the leftovers? Our tithes, our sowing should be budgeted, because that should be coming off the top. That should be our best. Not, well, I have this bill and I have to take care of this and I have to take care of that. And so now I have $20 left, so let me give that to God. That's not sowing. That's not being a cheerful giver. That's not delighting yourself in Him. And honestly, when we start doing those, that affects the marriage and the household, because it only takes one to bring that curse upon your life. And that curse affects everyone within your home. And so when we talk about marriage and partnerships, if we have one who's doing everything that they can to please God, but you have the other who decides, I'm not so sure, I'm going to do my own thing and just pray about it, and hopefully God has some grace and some mercy for me. And now neither one of y'all can really quite figure out why everything's going wrong. And this person over here has no clue, because they're like, well, I thought we were doing this. I didn't even know that you're over here, because for whatever reason now we're not like-minded. And
like-minded.
That's it. I'm sorry, I know we're kind of off track, but
I think this is good, and I think we can end with this scripture. This is not the scripture I had, but as my wife was talking, you can see why I married her. She's wise, she's smart. I just love listening to her when she speaks.
I love listening to her speak too.
So, but when she said, when one's off, we're all off, I think of the book of Joshua and Ai, that one person took what he wasn't supposed to. They took what he wasn't supposed to, and they couldn't beat a particular enemy that they could have beat. Was it half the army or half the people? They got wiped out because someone took something they weren't supposed to, and it affected everyone. So when you think, oh, I'm one person, I don't matter, you being that one person can mess everything up for everyone else.
Okay, that's
so yes.
Pastor-elect over here.
So, but I think this is an excellent way to end this episode.
Yeah.
Um, and the next episode is going to be very good
Mhm.
because the guys are actually going to take a back seat because episode 3, the ladies are going to talk about submission. So this is a topic that's good. That's good. I think it needs to be told because a lot of people misinterpret that. Well, right after that episode 4, the ladies are taking a back seat, and us fellas are going to talk about being the priest of the household. So we'll take it then.
Yes.
We'll take
Yes,
it then.
yes.
So, but tune in, and we will be back, and we will definitely continue to bless you. So,
Yes, yes.
take care.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.